Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new Let's Play of Hearts of Iron 4 Equestria at War, a mod inspired by Milo the Pony. I know, just give me a second here. I can already hear many of you. I never watched Milo the Pony, and I really didn't think that this mod would be what it turned out to be when it was recommended to me. I quite honestly thought that it was a joke mod, but the amount of care that went into this mod is insane, and I fell in love with it, and I'm here to prove it to you that this is something worth looking at. They took the show and turned this game into a mix of Europa Universalis 4 and Hearts of Iron 4 with a feeling of something like Game of Thrones. It's amazing, and I really hope that you will. Those of you that never saw this before, give me a chance, at least the first episode, to get the feel for this, because this is not a children's game. They actually made this into a brutal, massive endeavor that is quite amazing. I usually search for interesting scenarios in my playthroughs, but as I never watched an episode of My Little Pony in my life, I just, once I started playing this, I started reading on the lore, and I decided that we're gonna make the first playthrough playing one of the majors in the game, the one that I thought would be the most interesting, and later on we can start messing with the minors. They actually made dozens of, and I'm not over exaggerating, dozens of nations, each with multiple different paths that intermingle and affect each other. So it's quite an endeavor to play this mod, and I played it a couple of times, trying out various nations, but I never got really that far into it because I didn't want to spoil it for myself. Spoiler warning to those of you that are new to the channel or new to me playing this game. I'm a heavy reader. I enjoy the lore, so we are going to play this as sort of a role-playing game. We're gonna read all of the texts. We're gonna try to learn the ropes of this game and try to see what this is gonna bring us. And again, to those of you that never saw this before, give it a chance, at least the first episode, and you will see that it can rival other mods. I can honestly say that this has become one of the best things that I have played in Hearts of Iron 4. I can guarantee that it's up there with Black Ice, and I'd probably say Kaiserreich after I played it, and the Great War mod. I really like it, so I'm hoping that you will too. Now let's start, and I'll show you what the game is like. Now they completely redone the map. They have 3 continents right now. All of the nations on this continent have their own focus tree, with the exception of the polar bear communities. Almost all of them on this continent have the focus trees, and this is the latest edition. Only a couple of them have it, but that doesn't really bother us because they're, as far as I understand, heavily working on this, and it's, this was an addition in the latest patch. That's amazing on its own. Now what we're gonna play here is we're gonna play the Griffonian Empire. Now there is a number of races in the game, same as, for example, in Old World Blues. You have the ponies, you have the changelings, you have the polar bears, you have there's deer. We are gonna play the griffins. The griffins are kind of cool. I really like the lore behind this nation. I'm gonna speak about it a bit in the game. We're gonna see if we see it in the text. If not, then I'm gonna tell you what I read about it and what the plan for this playthrough is going to be. So the Griffonian Empire, as you can see, is kind of a large nation. It reminds me a lot of Austria, Hungary in other mods, but this one is more akin to the Ottomans, as in it is falling apart literally while you're playing it, and you have to pick it up and bring it back to its former glory. So, I think that the best thing we can do here is jump in the game, and I'm gonna start explaining everything as we get in there. Again, a lot of reading. This is gonna be an introductory episode, so grab your tea, grab your coffee, and let's see what the game is going to bring to us. Welcome to the game. So, I already checked that they have the war here, so I'm gonna explain what is going on by reading the text, because this is gonna be the backbone to our playthrough. The Griffonian Empire, and by the way, before I started, I was not kidding with the fact that this feels a lot like Europa Universalis mixed with Hearts of Iron 4, because there is a lot of dynasties, kings, and the focus of the game moved a lot into the focus tree. I know that sounds a bit weird, but yeah, there is a huge amount of story in this game. Most of it is super dark, which I enjoy, but it's more like an historical intrigue. If you had castles and ancient, or not ancient, castles and medieval cities combined with tanks and bombers. It's really cool. Anyway, let's get into it. You can see that I'm trying to keep you guys hooked, because I really think that this is worth your time. Anyway, the Griffonian Empire, once the strongest power in the world, stretching across most of Griffonia and even having colonies on Equus. But fate was cruel to the imperial dynasty, and their empire would not last. Grover I of Griffonstone, the wielder of the sacred idol of Boreas, founded the empire in the year of 705 by uniting almost all Griffonkind under one banner. The empire continued to prosper and grow under the tight but just talents of the Griffonstone dynasty. Their conquest of the Griffonian continent, continued by the infamous warrior Emperor Grover II, was however halted by the ponies of the east, who would later form the River Coalition to oppose the empire and stop it from threatening their sovereignty. I don't know if you can see it, but this is the River Coalition that they're speaking about here. All of these green countries fall into the coalition. With the end of expansionism, many peasants and previously subjugated noble families had time to plot against the emperor and his divine rule, beginning to see him as a foreign tyrant rather than a just ruler. Nevertheless, Emperor Grover III managed to keep the empire together and ensure the loyalty of most of his subject lords for many years. Those who continued to resist him soon vanished without a trace. He also established the imperial army, which soon became the largest military force in the world, and sought to form an imperial identity to unite the many cultures of his vast empire. So, the first three emperors basically created the Griffonian Empire, which stretched all the way from this area of Scandinavia down to the Griffon host here and to the Kingdom of Vingbard here. So basically this entire thing was the Griffonian Empire, and this is what we are gonna try to recreate in this playthrough. They were stopped by the River Coalition, and unfortunately, as you heard, the first three kings were amazing. The first two were, you could consider them the conquerors. They managed to conquer like half of the entire continent. The third one was more of a bureaucrat who created the imperial army, kept things together, created the duchies and titles, and made the empire work. However, then came the disaster. During the reign of the next emperor, Grover IV, cracks began to appear in the foundation of the empire. While he was an expert administrator who was liked by the common Griffins and began to modernize the empire, the nobility despised him and grew increasingly disillusioned with Groverian rule. This is because he actually focused a lot on the... I cannot believe I'm saying this, on the common Griffin, on the life of a common Griffin, where, he made reforms in agriculture and stuff like that, and of course the nobility does not like that. When he unexpectedly died, leaving an underaged and frail Grover V, that's by the way the king that we have right now. One thing that I think is missing here is that the Grover IV was called the Glutton. He kept overeating, and he was extremely lazy, which led to him having a heart attack in a fairly young age. So when he unexpectedly died, leaving an underaged and frail Grover V to succeed him, the nobles made their move and formed a regency council to govern the empire. But the true decline of the empire did not start until the Griffinstone cadet branch lost hold of the Idol of Boreas, the ancient relic that was a symbol of the power and legitimacy of the imperial dynasty. It was stolen in 971 by a wicked cyclops named Arimaspe, who also slew King Guto VI, the supposed regent of Grover V. With this loss, it is said that the gods abandoned the empire. By the way, this is kind of interesting because I haven't seen a Cyclops race in the game. I don't know if they can appear, but this is the only mention of a nation or a race that's actually not in the game. After the mysterious assassination of King Gumberto, the kingdom of Vingbardi was the first to secede. This is down here. To secede, where were we? To secede in 972 under the leadership of newly crowned the Garibaldi Talduonel I, together with their allies in the soon formed Carfinian Pact. After that, the discreet family of Aquileia seceded, which is down here, the sort of purplish, taking with them most of the west. Other smaller vassals such as Brotfeld followed suit. Not sure where Brotfeld is. Everything climaxed in 978. The empire was still in regency, and the power-hungry imperial nobility prevented Grover V from ascending to the throne even after he became of age. This unjust regency came to an abrupt end in the winter of 978 when thousands of angry peasants and lowborns assaulted the imperial palace. The emperor survived with the aid of Archon Eros VII and fled to the countryside, though many nobles were lynched. A Griffonian Republic was proclaimed, which briefly replaced the Empire. In the chaos that followed, Skyfall slaughtered the Imperial garrison, seized the Imperial Navy, and formed an independent trade federation. There is a trade federation of Skyfall here somewhere. I don't know where they are, but there is a special trade federation. We can find them later. Not sure where they are. They're here though. Where were we? Yeah, they sought to seize the Imperial Navy and formed an independent trade federation. A counter-revolution led by Duchess Gabriella Eagleclaw of Strawberry was launched by the surviving nobility just a year later, and Emperor Grover V regained his throne for good, while most Republicans were forced to flee to the cold north. There is a Griffonian Republic here who is like a main antagonist to us. They are probably going to be one of the first targets for us, because we cannot have these peasants think that they can escape the rule of our mighty law. Following the Republican coup, many of the powerful nobles in Heartsland of the Empire received considerable autonomy and remained nominally loyal to the Emperor, but the Empire was nothing but a shadow of its former self. With only a fraction of its territory left and Grover V's health rapidly declining, the remnants of the Empire must seek out a valid, capable regent to lead them forward until the next Emperor, Grover VI, is ready for the task. Many fear that recent history will repeat itself. The Griffonian Empire is holding on by a thread. Will it return to its former glory and defeat the various traitors on the continent, or will it finally collapse entirely? Only the gods know. Okay, so this is the backstory. Basically, we have a king who is dying, the Emperor Grover V, as far as I understand. He was born in the year 960, so he is 47 right now. But considering I checked the focuses and one of them is called The Emperor is Dead, I don't think he's going to be here for long. So, yes, we're going to need to figure out who is going to be the regent for Grover VI, who is, I believe, an infant right now and is not ready to, rule with his mighty claw, or, tiny claw at this point. So let's look at the region information. While the authority of the Griffonian Empire collapsed everywhere else, it still exists in central Griffonia, albeit in greatly weakened form. It is here in the fertile plains around the mighty Griff-King River where Emperor Grover I established his capital of Griffinheim, and where it has remained ever since. The region is densely populated by griffins, while diamond dogs inhabit the Bronze Mountains to the north. In the east, the magical Schweiswald forest has been a near insurmountable obstacle for Griffin settlers for centuries. In the north, huh? No, in the east. Is that the kingdom of Vedina? Oh, here's the Skyfall Trade Federation. Okay. Schweiswald forest in the east. Oh wait, that has to be here. Fir tree villages. Yeah, it's probably around here. Where were we? Yeah. While the Great Lake of Rumara and the mountains of Black Hollow make up for the southern border of the region. Okay. So I don't think we can see it, but basically in the east we have the mountain. In the east we have the mountains. Wait, what? The region is densely populated, while diamond dogs inhabit the Bronze Mountains. Yeah, Bronze Mountains are here. Here's the Diamond Mountains. I don't know what the Bronze Mountains are. County on Bronze Hill. Is this, are these dogs? I'm not sure. Okay, never mind, let's continue. After the Republican Revolution, the region became greatly fractured. In the Heartsland, the Empire existed as a small rump state around Griffonheim, surrounded by nominal vassals who are part of the Reichspakt. Further south, the Duchy of Varennia has been torn asunder by civil war between rival houses. The Kingdom of Griffonstone, left without its greatest benefactor, is stranded. The small barony of Rumara now has a chance to save its dying culture, while Black Hollow in the east has been overrun by Blackroot bandits. While the Empire is weak for now, it may yet recover its strength. Should that happen, the vassals are in danger of losing their autonomy, and most of them will refuse to give it up without a fight. Unfortunately, the Heartsland can only be reunited through conflict. The same is not true for Varennia, where the civil war may yet find a peaceful solution. In the south, Rumara may seek to reclaim its historical lands from Griffonstone, while Blackrock has ambitions in the east, if she isn't overthrown. All of these states have to be wary if the Empire reunites the Heartsland, for it may then seek to bring all the former imperial lands back into its fold. Aquileia and Vingberde, too, may seek to expand their influence in the region, thus possibly sowing the seeds for a conflict between them and the Empire. It is hard to predict the future, but one thing is certain, there will be blood. Mechanics I don't think we have to go for. I'm going to explain them as we go, and changelog we don't have. So now you probably understand why this feels more like Hearts of Iron 4 mixed with European Universalis. Because, I mean, you know, that's still the Great War mod that keeps the Austria-Hungary and Kaiserreich as well, speaking of kings and everything. But here the story is driven mostly by these royal families and actual characters within the game, even if they are, you know, non-interactive. So let's look a bit at our situation. So the Griffonian Empire, which is us, we have all of these vassals, which is a big thing. But if you imagine that we used to own this whole thing, we have about 1/3 of the current, or no, we have 1/3 of the previous size. The direct control, though, is only of this little small thing called, well, Griffonian Empire, basically. And here is our capital of Griffonheim. One thing that I actually made quite interesting here is that the infrastructure in this mod is way worse than it usually is in any other mod that I have seen. This is more prone to show as you expand out of the area, because you can see that for us the situation is really not that bad, but if you look to the fringes, to the mountains and stuff like that, the attrition is horrifying there. So what do we have here? Let's look at us. Now, as I mentioned, there are many races. You cannot choose these. These are basically given to you. There's griffins, there's ponies, there's dogs, there are changelings, many races. There are even dragons. I think they're somewhere down here in the south. Yeah, Ice Dragon tribe. I checked them out. They are pretty insane. Unfortunately, they don't have any focus tree right now, so, you know, we're looking at the lore, and they are very much on the fringe of our interest. We are being ruled by Emperor Grover V. Nominally the Emperor of all Griffins, Grover V of Griffinstone has had a difficult life. Never the most healthy of Griffins, he lost his father, Emperor Grover IV, to a stroke. After that, woe soon came to the Empire. The loss of the idol of Boreas, the Republican uprising of 978, millions of dead Griffins. The young Emperor could only watch and weep as the events unfolded. Nonetheless, he could count on his good friends, notably Archon Eros VII and Duchess Gabriella Ingoglaw, to keep him safe from the worst and guide him in ruling what remained of a loyalist. An unifying force for the Heartland, Grover V has developed a sense of grim determination and does his best to maintain the Empire's legacy, regardless of his personal issues. Okay, so this is the king of our empire. We do not have any elections apart from an event. We are ruled in a despotism. We have a couple of parties here. There's the Kaiserpartei, which is the ruling party here. It's a supremacist one, I believe. No, it's actually non-aligned. Okay. There's also supremacist, communist, and harmonic. Harmonic is basically democracy, or the alternative to democracy. That one is most notably wow, I forgot the word for represented. Most notably represented by Equestria, which is where My Little Pony is actually taking place. We are non-aligned then, and there's also the communists, and there are a couple of communist nations like Stalingrad, the Socialist Republic of Scandinavia, and some other ones. You know, we can ignore them for now, they're not important. We have the following modifiers. Bloated bureaucracy, daily political power gain lowered, stability lowered, construction speed lowered, and research speed lowered by 30%, stability by 15%, construction speed by 10%. Well, this is much harsher than I expected. After years of neglect, failure to modernize and general corruption, the imperial bureaucratic system has become a bloated abomination. It is not unusual to wait a full month just to get an audience with a bureaucrat. That bureaucrat then redirects you to another one, so you can file several forms that in the end turn out to be unnecessary. Well, great. Rice Army. Extra army experience gain of 0.02 daily command power of 0.05, maximum command power increased by +10, and land doctrine cost lowered by 10%. Even as the glory of the empire waned, its army has remained at forefront of development and modernization. Our soldiers are drilled veterans whose profession remains respected, and a popular choice for the nobility's offspring. Furthermore, our commanders are well versed in the latest military thought with the assistance of the Changeling attaché. Okay, so we have a Changeling attaché. Interesting. The Changelings are the murderers of the other continent. Basically, they're the Nazis. Their goal is to destroy everything, and if they hate anything more than happiness, it's the ponies. There is a pretty much given conflict between them and Equestria, so I'm gonna be watching that closely, because I guess that might affect us in a way if we have a Changeling attaché. Well, we'll see. Changeling Griffonian attaché. A Changeling military mission is present in the Griffonian Empire. Their designs are, in general, improving the quality of Imperial tanks. Thanks to this, the designs are seeing much practical use throughout the Empire, giving the Changelings feedback on their design, and the region practical for both nations. Okay, that's pretty cool. And Archonate of Boreas. Griffonheim has been the seat of Archon of Boreas for the past 300 years, and as such, the Archon exerts quite a bit of influence in the local politics. Little goes on in the city without the Archon knowing about it. I wonder what is Boreas, though. That's not explained here. I know that we lost the idol of Boreas, but what is Boreas itself, I am not sure. Anyway, the national focus tree looks like this. We're gonna work through it when we can. There currently isn't much that we can do. I read through most of it. Basically, once the Emperor dies, we have to choose either the Archon, who is Eros VII, basically the religious nut of the Empire, or the Duchess, Igoko of Strawberry as the regent for our poor Grover VI. I think that we're gonna go through with the Duchess because, I never had that much love for religion. So she's gonna take over the kingdom. And I'm not sure if you actually... There's a lot of things here, but I don't think that I've ever seen the new emperor coming. She might usurp the power for herself, though she was a close friend of the emperor. We'll see. The story will unfold. There is a lot of flavor text that will explain what is going on in our empire and in the surrounding world. Okay, so that goes with that deals with the national focuses. Our army is volunteer only, which we'll have to change. We have export focus and civilian economy. Okay, these needs to be changed as fast as possible. We need to get to at least urban mobilization, but better to partial mobilization. We have a lot of advices here that we are going to go through later on. I like the silent workbird. Hafor Lunar Claw, who gives us extra political power gain. Friendly Preacher, recovery rate and stability. Well, not bad either. We have a lot of options for, the industry, the tanks and everything. There is a lot of military staff. Each one of these have a designated bunch of officers. Actually, no, these three... Okay, we're going to get all of these three, but the other Chief of Army, Chief of Navy, and Chief of Air Force will have to choose. We have developed, this is also another really cool thing that they made. We have developed science base. We have outdated industrial sector. Okay, that's interesting. These cannot be changed by you. These are always changed by the events, and they kind of give you the either penalties or unlock special technologies for you as you go. So we have the outdated industrial sector giving us quite a lot of penalties. So the developed science base means the famed universities of these nations are known for having educated several exceptional individuals who have gone on and made breakthrough discoveries. Their contribution to science is appreciated around the entire world. Then we have outdated industrial sector, which gives us penalties to resource gain, construction speed, research speed, factory output, dockyard output, and factory repair speed, but lower supply consumption, all by 10%. Despite industrializing, this nation has largely failed to keep their industrial sector up to date with more modern nations. A lack of competitiveness is hurting the economy, but it is still growing quickly, with increased production allowing for the widespread adoption of many revolutionary technologies such as telegraph wires, railroads, and sewage systems. First steps to adopt the use of combustion engines and electricity are being taken. Okay, so we need to get this to a modern society to remove the penalties. Modest illiteracy. Okay. So this lowers our construction speed by 10%, research by 30%, and factory repair speed by 10%. Despite continued efforts, half of the populace is still illiterate, with many being unable to attain a higher education. Okay, so this is really bad. Then we have negligible poverty, which is good. Nobody is starving. This country has a functional economy with a minimal poverty rate. Work is readily available and jobs are easy to find. And the race is Griffin. Cool. So, we cannot change anything here. So let's look now at the research. The research is fairly self-explanatory. There is not that many changes, though they really did a huge number on the amount of it, which is something that I really like. Many of these are basically just reskins of the regular technology, but you can see that the game goes all the way to 1025, giving you a huge amount of things. One thing that I would like to mention is that there is a special resource here called crystals. Crystals are they're representing a magical ability of the nation. You can see that we do not have any, but they are vastly represented in our vassal states, and they give you access to special technologies like magical weapons. So have right now the M06 Krale, which is a regular infantry weapon, and later on, after we get the M10, we can choose to go into the magical weapons, which cost a little less in iron, but require crystal, and then you get magical cannons, magical infantry, and other things that you can use. So we'll have to decide early on what we're going to use here and how we're going to do it, because you know this is a choice that can affect you. If you cannot supply enough crystal to your army, then you cannot use these stronger weapons. They're not that much stronger, but they are stronger nonetheless. As you can see, defense is here 3 points higher, soft attack 2 points higher. Okay, reliability is lower though, and there is a spellfire cannon for your tanks. Let's see. Tanks are pretty much regular, though you have a super heavy here that is more pronounced. Support companies are the same, but there are specialized technologies that you can get based on race. So here we have the Griffonian technology. I think we might have a special... Okay, no. Okay, we don't have a special one, but I know that there are some special attachments that you can get. For example, I know that there are mages and stuff like that. We instead have the knights, which is a specialized unit for us, being much stronger than the regular infantry. So if we want to use those, we have to go through this tech, though we already have access to Knights 1. There's also pretty strong boosts here that you can get from these technologies, like the enchanted tools here gives us extra resource gain, efficiency, construction speed, and factory repair speed. Then there are some extra bonuses based on the fact that we can fly. There is, I like this one, enchanted armor. Basically it upgrades the armor of your knights, giving them 500,000% bonus to armor, and special forces get 5,000 bonus to hardness, so you can turn them into mini tanks. Hardened tanks. Okay, this is something that we will need to investigate. And then we have a bonus to air and navy here, because, you know, we can fly. Industrially, this is pretty regular. Naval is pretty good. I think that this is gonna be one of the first ones where I am going to actually play with carriers if we get to the sea. Because right now we don't have any access to the sea, so if we can get there, it would be kind of cool to start building a massive navy to protect ourselves from any incursions. I think that once the Changelings, if they do that and they swallow the entire continent, they can kind of decide to threaten us, so we'll see about that. So what are we going to research at this point? Well, I think we're going to start with the regular industry. So let's start with the national standards. I'm going to go with construction, steel and cement. And we're going to start with the electromagnetic engineering. Though, this one takes 341 days. And if we went with this, this gives you a bit more of bonus. Construction 10 and 10. And this one gives 10 and 10 and 5 and is faster. So let's start with the enchanted tools instead. Let's have a need bonus. Now, how is our industry? Awful. Okay, that's great. So what do we have here? Not much, to be sure. We have actually full yeah. Okay, so our core territory is really small. We have 10 out of 10 factories and maximum infrastructure in our capital, Griffenheim. And the rest is not that good, though, you know, still not bad. So let's start building in Helheim. I'm gonna start with civilian factory. I think that we're gonna get most of our factories through events anyway. Now, what about production here? Okay, we have 8 military factories. That's not bad considering that we have 9 civilian ones. So we're producing bolt action rifles, 5.04 per day, some support equipment, though we're missing aluminum, and the light pods are 1 krona. Okay. So let's see, Light Panzer 1 Corona, what it's like. It's decent. Could be greatly improved if we wanted it. But we don't have the experience for it right now. But it's not a bad thing, and we got quite a reserve here. So that brings us to the military. How are we doing on the military? Here. So we got 15 divisions, that's not bad. 2 tank divisions that I can see here. Okay, so they're a combination of light tanks and motorized, but no support. Okay, so it's 1st Panzer Division Griffonia War and a Light Division Synovia. Ah, wait, this is a different one. Okay. It's kind of funny that the Light Division is actually bigger than the Panzer Division Griffonia War. And this one has support, so this is a much better one. Yeah, much stronger, much higher defense. Okay, so let's focus on these. The Light divisions seem pretty good. I'm gonna put you all in the army here. Then we have okay, 11 regular infantry divisions, very small. 6 battalions, support artillery and engineering company. That's not bad though, pretty good. And 2 knight divisions. Knight of the Order. Wait, what's this? Knight of the Order of White Lion and Knights of the Order of Burning Rose. Okay, they're just knights with recon detachment. So how are they comparing to the regular infantry? Not so good. Soft attack. Okay, soft attack is the same. Defense, breakthrough. Breakthrough is actually higher on the knights. Do they get bonus from... Yeah, they get bonus from recon. Armor, piercing. Yeah, they got armor, which is pretty cool, you know, considering they are actual knights. And we also have the Imperial Mountaineers, but we don't have anything. Here's the Panzer Grenadier. Okay, so that's the Light Division and the Panzer Division. Okay, gotcha. So the army is not bad. It is pretty nice. We basically have one big army for, one big infantry army, and then some specialized and some Panzer divisions. I'm gonna try to change the Griffonia War to a Light Division as well very soon. Okay, so that's nice. Production is going well. Trade. Okay, we're missing aluminum and we're missing some steel for the production. I think that we can ask our subjects to... Yeah, and then we can suck them dry if we want to. I guess we'll have to, because how much of a penalty are we getting here? 7.5 and 7.5. Well, the production is not big and we don't really have much to trade for. So do you want to sacrifice 2 out of the 4 factories? I don't think so. Let's not do anything with trade. We don't have an intelligence agency and you don't have anything here. What about Air Force? Oh, we do have Air Force. Interesting. So we have 1 fighter wing of 60 fighters and we have 1 tactical bomber wing of 40 tactical bombers. Interesting. Interesting. Cool. Okay, so the navy we don't have because we don't have a sea. Cool. That is pretty good. That is pretty good. Now what about the subjects? We have quite a lot of vassals. Most of them are nominal. So yeah, they would break away if they increase their autonomy. And then we have 1... Oh, actually we have only 1 autonomous vassal. Other than that, they're only nominal. That's really bad. Okay, we'll have to be careful because we might see them leaving really soon, which unfortunately might be the truth. And some of these seem that they are doing much better than we are. Well, no. Due to our capital, none of these are actually a big danger for us alone. But if we had to face more than one of them at once, that would be a bit of an issue. Okay, so that is all pretty good. I think that we have covered the situation that is immediately affecting us. Our next steps are basically going to be to wait and let the story unfold, because there is a lot of story here. Until we get through the beginnings, we are not going to get much done. Yeah, here you can see that we have the civilian factories, quite a lot of them that's gonna come. Prepare for war. Yeah, there are some really nice bonuses down the line. And what is this? Expanding. Okay. Modern industrial methods. Okay, but we can get those only after we go through this, because we require either the Archon, the Duchess, or one with the Lord Protector. Okay. And they give you railways, production, civilian and military factories. Yeah, okay, so this is gonna be our money shot. That's where we are gonna start being the threatening power that we need to be. Okay, cool. And what about the decisions? Borrow from Fluena. Gain loan from Fluena bankers. Okay. Use some war propaganda, then we have the improved work. Actually, I haven't checked that. Damn, our stability is really low. Just 38%. Our support is 50. We are not getting any oil. And it is kind of logical. Do our subjects have oil? They do. Okay, so we either force them to provide us with oil, or we conquer them eventually. Where are we? Reorganize supply network, commandeer civilian trains, region-wide industrial, and then military training. This one is actually pretty cool. You can spend unused command power and a bit of political power to get army, navy, and air experience. So we're gonna go for that one. Okay, I think I've covered everything. And I think we can call it an episode. In the next one, we are going to start on our way through this, reorganizing our armies, increasing our production, and unfolding the story. Cool, looking forward to it. So I hope that I picked up your interest, or whatever you want to say about it. I think this is going to be really nice, and I think that playing the Griffonian Empire, even though that it's probably the most played nation from what I saw on YouTube, will allow us to better understand what the situation in the world is like. And once we're done with this playthrough, we can, in the future, play some other nations based on our experience here. Cool. So thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next episode.